It's unmuted here.
No, it's on mute.
Okay. Right here.
Fancy.
Good evening, good evening. I want to thank everyone on Zoom and all of our participants that are actually sitting at the round table. We are the African American Chamber of Commerce, and tonight's roundtable discussion will be about Black women-owned businesses and how to scale them. Tonight is actually, it's a very important conversation that we're going to have because Black women are helping close the gender gap as the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs, according to GoDaddy's Ventured Forward Research Initiative. Black entrepreneurs own 15% of US micro businesses, with 68% owned by Black women. I'm going to say those numbers again. 15% of businesses are owned by Black entrepreneurs. 68% of that 15% are owned by Black women. Huge number. I said micro business. So I want to make sure I give you the definition of what a micro business is. And the definition is it's an enterprise or a solopreneur that employs two or less people. So a small business basically is what that means. Another fun fact, almost half of respondents, which is 46%, have transitioned their micro business, small business, from supplemental to primary source of income. So that means they started off in their home or they started off with a side hustle and then that business turned into their main income. Huge for us, for Black women. One more fun fact. The number of businesses owned by Black women grew by 50% from 2014 to 2019, representing the highest growth rate of any female demographic. That's that Black girl magic. Mm-hmm. Black females accounted for 42% of all women-owned new businesses during that time and represents 36% of all Black employers. Go us. Mm. So I wanted to give those fun facts before we started this dialogue because I think it's important to understand that we are up and coming. And I'm going to quote what they say, and we're not letting up. So that means we're keeping our foot on their neck. Mm-hmm. Very important. So without further ado, my name is Tamika. I am the chair of the African American Chamber of Commerce. I'm also the business owner of TR Insurance Agency and TR Travel Experience. I have some wonderful women in my company tonight, and I want to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves and their businesses. So I'm going to start to my right.
I'm Eden Gilliam, and I am the founder and esthetician behind Eve Milan Spa and Eve Milan, New York. I started my company actually when I was 19 years old, basically fresh out of high school, and I've been growing ever since. I launched a skincare line that has been featured from everywhere from Essence magazine to Allure Best in Beauty, and currently my company is being featured in a Link NYC campaign throughout all the boroughs of New York City. Yay. So things are going really, really well. I'm always pleased and honored to be surrounded by amazing Black women. I got here because of Jillian, who I met at a entrepreneur's kind of like boot camp that was ran by another Black woman. And so the Black women connections keep flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing. Mm-hmm. And so here I am. So I'm happy to be here and thank you so much for having me.
We are excited to have you. I'm going to move on to Rabab, and I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself and your business.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Mm-hmm. My name is Rabab Abdallah. I actually own two businesses. One of them is a production company called Runway Prestige, and we mostly focus on events. The focus of events, although we do an array of events, the focus of events is really geared towards fashion. And so I've worked for and produced fashion shows during New York Fashion Week, and I've produced shows abroad. My other business, which is my new baby, and that is La Rumi, and that's a clothing line. And it's a sustainable business. All the material, all the yarn that the clothes are made of are actually sustainable. and everything is seamless. And so there is no seams. So it's a new type of business. It's just taking off ground now and just looking to launch and make it happen. And thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be amongst you guys.
Hi, I'm Kia from Kia's Kitchen, and I am a personal chef and caterer. I'm a traveling chef as well. I travel out of the country a lot. And I was a teacher actually. So when you say that it was a side hustle, I was actually selling plates at my job and got hurt on the job and decided that it was best that I just use my talent and started cooking. And I've been in business 5 years, and it's been a rough road, but I enjoy it and I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. So just so you know, guys, Kia Catering, they actually sponsored our dinner this evening. So after we get off of our Zoom and we have this wonderful discussion, we will be eating some of Kia's food. Sorry, guys. Should have been here. So we will be partaking on that. And then we also have some studio guests. So we have Sharice Huey, who is the founder and owner of a not-for-profit Because, where she assists teachers in her area, or in the community, I should say, with supplies. So I want to make sure that we acknowledge her because that's big. It's big and we need it. We have Danielle, who's a chamber board member, but she also has a marketing company and website design. We have Jillian, who's also on our board. And Jillian has a couple of different businesses. She has a notary business, and she also has a financial planning, retirement planning business. You do so many things. I'm trying to hit every point here. So I want to make sure that they are acknowledged as well, because it's important that we let you guys know that we're surrounded by Black-owned businesses, and it's important as we get on to our discussion. So again, I want to thank you all, and we're gonna get right into the meat and potatoes of it.
All right.
So the first question, I got a lot of fun facts. Doing this was actually really fun for me because it solidified what I already knew. Obviously, we know that we are the most creative individuals walking on this planet, and we don't get the just that we deserve. And that was the purpose of this roundtable, is so that we can highlight, promote, and make people aware of what we have going on in our businesses and our lives, and have an open dialogue about business, because there's not many places where you can go and speak frank or talk about your issues or the things that you're experiencing and share it, because we all can learn something from one another through our trials and tribulations. So I think it's important that we have this roundtable once a month and we come up with different topics that are important and that's going on in each industry. So it's not just, I do insurance, you are an esthetician, you do cooking. It's for all of us, because we all experience the same thing at some point in time. So I'm going to start off with the first question. And just so you guys know, I asked the question and it's open. We go around, and whatever you can, add to, we'll ask each of you, what are your thoughts on it? And then we'll have I also have a lot of things, some points to make.
As always.
Yes. You know me so well. So the first question we're going to pose is, what specific challenges do Black-owned businesses face when it comes to scaling up, and how can those barriers be addressed? So I'm going to pose the question again, because I want you guys to have some thought about it. And then we'll have the discussion. What specific challenges do Black women-owned businesses face when it comes to scaling up, and how can those barriers be addressed? Eden, I'm going to start with you.
All right. So I think a lot of things come down to money. I think we all are aware that we're the least funded companies. I want to present challenges with opportunities at the same time, right? Because I think that we are women that have a lot of grit. We're very innovative, and I think that's part of our secret sauce. So I think that part of being underfunded actually gave me a lot of skills that I wouldn't have had if I had the money to pay someone to do it. So I think it taught me how to do graphics. I learned how to code on a website. I learned marketing. I became a photographer. I became a product formulator. I took a class at UCLA. I said, I had to really dig in my bag and pull everything out of me, which I think is a plus because in hindsight, or now moving forward, if I do feel like I want to pay somebody to do something, they can't beat me over the head and say, oh, it's going to take 16 hours. Look, it's the plug-in. It's going to cost $3. It's going to take you 5 minutes. And you're like, don't play with me, right? So I think money is something, of course, but I think money in the sense of the infrastructure to support the growth, because a lot of times as Black women, I think we're so very accustomed to wearing so many hats. But I think in business, in order to really spread your wings, you have to spread responsibilities, spread the wealth, and the infrastructure structure to support that growth, I think is most important because the bigger my company gets, the more complex my personal life is getting. And the more I'm like, whoo, like I can't do all the things, I know how to do all the things, but am I doing all the things my best? So I think the challenge is having that support system on the back end. And I think that the way that we can address it is I don't know what the journey is going to be like for VC funding. I don't know what that is going to look like, especially seeing how hard they're trying to fight Fearless Fund and these different things. But I think that just supporting one another as much as we can and being very intentional about the things that we do make a difference. I understand that there are some interesting challenges to that, which we could get into later. But I think being intentional about our support, intentional about, who we promote, how we promote, helps to kind of alleviate some of those financial challenges and things like that. And I also think personally for me, I've noticed a lot of money has come through my hands, and I really need to focus a lot on management, all money in. So sometimes it's easy to point the finger, but it's harder to look in the mirror and say, okay, what did I do with, the revenue? Did I allocate it properly? Did I make sure that I learned what I needed to learn about finances, about money management, to make sure that the business is growing properly? Because I do think that sometimes we do have a lot of things coming in, but are we allocating those things and using them properly? So I could put the magnifying lamp on myself. So I think
I think we all can. I think we all can put the magnifying glass on ourselves and make sure that we're pouring back into the business and we're not just taking out. So I think everything you said is like dead on point, and I think we all could identify with everything you said. So I think that was amazing. Thank you. So I'm gonna move over to Rabab, and it's the same question applies. So
Yeah, I think Eden really hit it on the nose with everything that she said. I think, and I'm going to talk about in regards to my new business, right? The clothing apparel. So it's really difficult. And when she said in terms of you literally have to become everything, you learn photography, you learn social media. By the way, I hate it.
we all do.
I'm just not a social media person, but it needs to be done. And I have to be the one to learn how to do it, right? You learn how to market. I learned how to build my own website. I had to do that.
Remember that painful process.
Do you remember that? Yes. And it took me almost 2 years.
Wow.
Just because I needed to get it the way I envisioned it, right? But I didn't have the funds to do it. I don't have the funds in starting a business to hire a photographer, to hire a web designer, to allocate money towards design, and manufacturing and all of that. So you have to really be smart. And then it's very difficult to get support and to get mentorship,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And funding is not easily accessible to Black women. So you really have to kind of figure things as you go along.
Mhm.
But I really am a big fan of trying to connect with different minded people, and having the right support is important, and being open and being able to mentor others, I think, is really, really key. Like, for those people who have gone through all the stresses, right? And have gotten to a certain point in their careers and in their business journey, I think it's so important to put themselves in a position where they can open the doors and help other people who are trying, especially young Black women, right? So for me, that's really important. And the other thing is, I'm a person who's a humanitarian. I want to give back to everybody. I want to give back to the earth. And that's basically, the reason for my business. So for me, it's trying to give back to nonprofits and just to the community. But how do I do that if I am not getting
Somebody pouring into you.
if now nobody's exactly pouring
Pouring
into
into
me? And whatever comes in, you have to be smart and know where to put each single penny that comes in, right?
Allocating your dollars.
You have to know how to allocate your dollars. And like Eden said, you basically have, you're being your own accountant at this point, right? So now, if whatever little money that comes in, what am I spending it on? Am I going to spend it on a new collection? Am I going to spend it on social media? Am I going to spend it on photography? It's like there's so many different aspects of the business that you have to pay attention to. And I think you just have to stick it out. You have to be determined, and you just have to keep on moving, and you'll figure it out. But I just really think it's important to have individuals there that you can lean on for support.
Amazing.
I mean, I can't go past these. So they're like excellent.
Well, draw on your experience.
And that's why the first, you guys said exactly what I went through. I just was a teacher and just loved cooking, loved baking. I wasn't classically trained. My grandmother was classically trained, and I was in the kitchen at the hotels watching her cook.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I was in it very, very young, and I knew it was my joy. But I always came across people who saw my potential and used my potential, but never gave me the, hey, I can help you. It was always, they're going to gatekeep kind of thing, and knowing how my money was going to flow, and even just knowing what to charge, how to charge was something that I went through. I literally started from the bottom. Like, I started very, very from the bottom, and being able to survive with 3 kids off of just that one income has been such a great experience, but it's been a struggle. Because yes, I did have to learn how to be a photographer. And honey, Snapseed and is everybody's best friend. Download it. It's a great app. It gives you a snap. Like, it just, so many things can happen when when you find out things. But I never knew any of that. Like, I was just lost. I felt like I just knew how to cook. So when you say support, I wish I would have had the support. I'm getting it now after 5 years, but in the beginning it was so hard because I was like, where am I supposed to go? How am I supposed to do this? I got to get a license. Now my business needs a license. Where do I go to get a license? How much am I supposed, like, those kinds of things? There should be some kind of help for people who want to start a business but don't even know the very first steps of the basics of getting, to where they want to be. I didn't. And knowing that now and having to go through the research and shutting down several times. I shut Kia's Kitchen down several times because I was so overwhelmed because I didn't have the support that I was just like, I have to regroup, and wishing that I had someone to be like, hey, don't worry, we got you. We got this. We can help. Marketing is something that's really hard for me because I just like to be in the back. I don't like to be in the front. It's a lot for me. So, marketing is something that I'm working on. Social media is something that I'm working on. So those things are also.
And that's what the chamber, that's why we do what we do. This is why, and we don't get paid. The chamber is really about advancing and helping minority business get to that point. If you're an entrepreneur and you may not know business, that's what we're here for. We want to assist you. We want to be able to be that liaison to you to help you get to that point, help you scale up, start a business. That is the purpose of this, because I believe that it's much needed in our community. And I got like-minded people surrounding me, helping build it. So unfortunately, we wasn't here 5 years ago, but for anybody else that's out there, definitely contact us, because that's why we're here. We want you to grow. We want minority businesses to grow, especially Black. And we're focusing on Black because it is International Women's Month. So it's about women today. But as an overall arching, it is for minority businesses as a whole. So I thank you all for your answers. And I'm going to move on to number 2. And it's funny because we touched on some of this, but I'm still going to ask the question. What support systems or resources are available to help Black women entrepreneurs navigate the process of upscaling their business effectively? Now, I just said one, the chamber now. But can you think of any resources that helped you navigate or processes that helped you get to your next step outside of yourself and family?
I'm not a very social person.
Really?
No, I'm really not. I'm really not.
Oh my God, every time I come for a patient, we talk the whole time.
Yeah, it's a one-on-one.
Okay.
Okay. That's just my personality, but I've been lucky enough to come in contact with a lot of people with great character. And I say character because I think that a lot of times in business, people could be very mixy and mixy with the intentions of being mixy. What can you take from somebody who's moving up? Who can I attach myself to? I'm not that type of person. I could really care less. I'm going to cheer for you, but I don't need to be around you like that, But for people who do have amazing character, I've been lucky enough to foster genuine relationships with people. And I think those genuine relationships that I have with people have really been a great resource to me. So when there's something coming up, it's, hey, let's patch Eden in on this. Or, oh, hey, Eden, this grant is coming up. Maybe you should apply. Or, oh, let me connect you and do an e-intro with this person. So I think the way that the Bible says, like, a good name is better than precious ointment, I think that integrity and good character will be your best resource, because the name that you have and how that carries from person to person will make or break how far you're scaling anything. And as we can see, even for people who have made their way to the top, those reputations and things
still follow. It doesn't stop.
So I would say the best resource that I have had is having good character that has allowed me to have nice relationships with people, genuine relationships with people.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's very important. Thank you for that. Because you don't think of, it doesn't have to be an entity or a organization. It's individuals that are pouring into you because they recognize your character and who you are. And so they want you to succeed.
Or saying your name in rooms that you're not even in, that type of thing. And I think that's really amazing.
It says a lot about the person.
It does. It does. So the same question poses for you.
Eden, said important things, and it's very true. Having a support, somebody to support, to lean on for support is really important. I myself, I'm very selective as well in terms of who I surround myself with, and I like to surround myself with like-minded people. There's a lot of people that are out there just trying to find an opportunity, and there's nothing wrong in finding opportunities, but it's, a lot of people try to take advantage of situations, and that's where I kind of have to step back, and so I feel very guarded, especially when it comes to my dealings with people and my business. So I tend to be very selective, and I kind of like hold everything to myself.
Oh my God.
So
Yes, you do.
yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I'm a visionary. And so for me, if I don't see the end vision of something, I can't release it, right? Because in the end, I want the result to speak for itself. It's not really about me, but whatever it is that I put out, I want it to speak for itself, and I want it to affect people. So that's very important. There was something else. I just totally forgot about it. What was the
Well,
other question?
there was what support system or resources are available to help Black women entrepreneurs navigate the process of upskilling their business effectively?
Okay.
So what resources have you?
So definitely finding people who can support you and mentor you, people that you can feel open speaking with, people that know the business, or other people who may not even be in the business but have had those trials and tribulations, right? You can speak openly with, and they can guide you. The other thing is, for me, I mean, it was more of an easier segue to do the apparel line, because I was I was producing shows, right? And so it's important, if it's something that you're really passionate about and you want to start and do, I think there are ways of getting into the industry, even if you have to do internships or just work part-time.
Mhm.
But I think it's really important to kind of like stick yourself in these businesses or organizations, and try to figure things out and just absorb everything.
Immerse yourself.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And just observe and learn as much as you can, right? And take it all in. You don't have to speak about it to everybody, right?
Mhm.
But take it all in, and then do your own research, and then try to figure it out that way. So I think you have to be your best advocate. And so I really think it's important. There are many organizations out there too that offer free assistance in terms of, Business 101. The chamber has, and will be doing, a lot of these seminars. So it's important. It's really, really important to take advantage of anything that's out there that can help promote and educate oneself.
Awesome source. So Kia, I'm gonna ask you, what resources have helped you?
I can say Small Business Associate SBA
Mhm.
actually helped me get a grant when I
Nice.
first started, and it was able to get me some of the equipment that I use,
Mhm.
because I make everything, as you know,
I know.
from scratch.
Mhm.
So
Everything.
everything. So when it comes for me not having that and being able to buy an expensive piece of equipment that I know is gonna make me my business excel, it really helped. And also I also it's only in Westchester, but it's called Launch 100.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
And
That's what the county.
Yes,
Westchester
I
County.
was actually a recipient the first year
Oh,
that
good for
it
you.
the first year that it came out.
Nice.
And because I already had a business, my grant was like, a great grant
nice.
where I was actually able to get my logo. I was able to, really put, and it helped me also write a business plan. It also gave me an understanding of how things work. Those were the main ones that I had.
SBA is a great resource. The Launch 1000, I think it comes out every year, and we'll post some information in regards to that. Also, there is a not-for-profit, it's BOC. They are located in the boroughs, however, they do service Westchester County. BOC will give you a micro loan. The last time I checked was 2 years ago. They were doing up to 15,000, but I know that depending on the industry, they will loan more. Like the chamber, we help write business plans, help you put that together, but they do it as well, and it's free. And they're a not-for-profit. BOC stands for Business Outreach Community. Is it community or center? BOC, I think it's Business Outreach Community.
There's another one too. I'm trying to search it out.
So those are also resources that are available to minorities that will help you. And their loans, it's a microloan. It's not like if you're going to the bank, you don't have to have collateral. The interest is not on a recurring level. So you pay just on the amount that you do, and that's it, which is helpful for, especially if you're starting a new business. That's very beneficial. And as we get them, different ones, we'll start to list them on our website. So make sure that you follow us on Facebook and on Instagram, because we will list them as they come through. So our third question is,
Wait, can we piggyback on this last question?
of course,
So I think that a few things that helped me a lot was one, I think that building credit,
business credit. So we have a webinar
yeah,
that is going to be out next month on building business credit.
I think
Very important.
building business credit has been crucial. Like, I feel like if I would have known about it when I was a teenager, I would have been light years ahead. But you know, the people around me were cash is king people. And we love them for that. You know, I feel like people give what they got.
Yes.
And you know, that was the best advice that they had to give. And I wasn't surrounded by entrepreneurs in 2009, and there weren't all of these resources, and all of these people was like foreign. But that's neither here nor there. Credit has been amazing. I use Square in my business, and they give loans based on your revenue, which don't go on your personal credit or your business credit, which has been amazing. I think even PayPal has been a really great source in the way that they loan money and give loans and stuff like that, and what their payback is too. It's like interest-free loans, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, those things are really coming clutch. Especially with like influxes of cash, even if it's like just $5,000, $3,000, you know what I'm saying? Those things really help. So those are definitely resources. So I would say, once again, being intentional about the type of software that you use, the other companies that you decide to affiliate your business with that can help you financially, where you don't have to compete for like grants and, you know, all of these things with thousands of other businesses. It's just going to solely be based off of your revenue, and it can really come in handy.
So that means that you have to be able to keep your books though. So, because when you're applying for these things, if you're utilizing it, you got to make sure that you're utilizing, because cash is king, or if you're cash apping or selling, you may want to, opposed to doing those, you may want to get a Square
and
or
process it
a quick and process, so that it has
a record
of all of that, and you can borrow against it. Great information. That's why I got these ladies here.
So they even let you on those apps, like write it down, like document it. So if you want to keep your Zelle and stuff, you just have your invoicing system all linked up.
So you can still do Zelle and Cash App and have it linked up with a Square and or.
As a
Okay.
cash
Like I said,
payment.
I got cash, you know, so yeah. I do it on QuickBooks, like the
QuickBooks,
cash,
yeah. Okay.
all of that.
See, now
do
we
it
just
on
got another
Stripe as
resource.
well. Stripe as well.
Stripe can do that.
Okay, and Stripe as well. Okay, so we'll list all of these different resources on our sites, so that everyone out there will have access to the resources. Our last question is, in your experience, what strategies have been the most successful for your business when you're looking to expand or reach new markets? So what strategies?
I think I'm expanding. I can speak for myself. I'm still expanding.
Well, okay, so what strategies are you implementing? What are you putting into place to help you get to that next plateau? Because we have people online who are thinking about becoming a business, or people who are going to see this who are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. And what I know for a fact is, as minorities, we focus on the craft and not the business aspect of it.
Absolutely.
yeah.
We are great at what we do. And I'm gonna go to Kia. Kia, before you even got the credentials, before you got the credentials to be a culinary, that was your love and you could cook.
Now I can.
And I
Well,
can
I
say-
would think. I think.
Well, no, I'm
No,
gonna,
no, no,
I'm gonna
be
attest to that.
confident. I
You
say
can.
I does this.
I does this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right now. Especially if we
So-
got to eat your food. You
Right,
gotta know
no,
that it's good.
I'm just a critic.
She
knows.
is for
She
no
knows,
good
for
reason.
no
Like,
reason. Like,
yeah,
I'm
and her
just-
food is amazing. So that goes without saying. But because we are so focused on our craft, a lot of times we don't get the business aspect down.
Absolutely.
So we don't know that business credit. We don't know that everybody should have a business plan, and you should be looking at 3 months. You should be looking at the next year, 5 year, 10 year. You should have at least 3 to 4 different business plans set up so that you know where you want to go and how you're going to get there.
Mhm.
So these are the strategies that we're referring to. It's like, how do you plan to get there? How can we help the person that's listening to this get to their next level or start? Because starting sometimes is a mind thing. We have to, again, the confidence. We have to be able to have the
Mhm.
confidence to know that, yes, we can. I know that I can do this. And then start to implement those actions.
So to piggyback off of what you said, when I started out, I did not have a business plan, but I understand the value of it, and I recently revamped my business plan and like executive summary and all types of things, because in the lane of expanding, right? There's so many different ways and directions to span, right? But if you don't have that direction from your business plan in the way that you should expand, you end up being all over the place. So just to give you an example, some people will say, all right, so my inbox can be full sometimes of people collab with us on this. We want to do that. We want to do this, right? So if within my business plan, my demographic or who my target audience doesn't align with your audience, I know that I don't need to advertise with you because who I'm trying to target is not the attention of the people you already have, right? So in terms of expanding, the business plan helps to keep you on task. It helps to remind you of where you're going, how you plan on getting there, who you're talking to, where you're taking it. So in the lane of expansion, I wholeheartedly understand in terms of the business plan is really important because it helps to keep you on task.
Right. It is for you. It's not for anybody
It's
else.
for
For you.
you.
You can utilize it for banks or if you want to get investors and things of that nature. But the business plan is for you. It's something internal. It's a document that you're utilizing to navigate how you do business, your protocols, your procedures, and how you're going to go and what direction you're going to go.
Because you could be pulled in so many different ways. Okay. Now, aside from that, I really do once again think delegating is important. And I remember being in the business class where I met Jillian, and the lady said she made a really interesting comment, and then it was reiterated a little down the line, but I'll compress this. So basically, she said, basically working on the business versus working in the business. She said you need to work on the business and not necessarily in the business, right? Which goes back to what you're saying. A lot of times we could be passionate about something, so we're working in the business, but we need to be working on it, which means I'm an esthetician. I have a skincare studio. So by me doing facials and chemical peels and stuff, that's me working in the business. Me working on the business is the marketing, the bookkeeping, the social media, the budgeting, right? And those are the things that really make a business run. Now, I think another thing is that what we need to understand is we can start a business and be the founder. We don't always have to be the CEO because maybe you can't CEO. And sometimes the titles are cute, but maybe the CEO ain't your title. Maybe your title is founder and esthetician, and you need to find somebody else to CEO because you can't CEO.
Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
That might be a tough call that maybe somebody else at some point needs to like, I always say you don't know what you don't know, right?
Mhm.
And I realized that one thing that has helped me is like, okay, I could do it, but do I do this well? I need to outsource this because I need you to know what I don't know. So I'd rather hire, they say the best CEOs hire people that do everything better than them.
That's how your business, like, for example, myself, I suck at social media. Can I post? Yeah. And I had ads made, but I hired someone to do it because I want to take my business. I'm revamping. So, and I want to take my business to the next level. Can I do it? Yeah, I can do it, but am I doing it to the best of my ability? And I think that's something as a business owner, you have to continuously reevaluate your.
You also have to know time management, right? Because social media is just such a monster in itself. And it is really time consuming, right? I mean, these algorithms are killers.
You have
So
trust
you
me,
need to,
especially
it's
before,
not, you can't just post
Yeah.
one post a day and
think,
just
right.
say, okay,
Yeah, I'm good.
I posted this morning, I'm good for the day.
No, you got to know the time.
And I'm guilty of that, right? I am not a social media person, but I'm learning. Although I'm learning, it's time consuming. And so what ends up happening? There's nothing on social media,
Because you're
right?
doing other
Because I'm
things.
doing other things. So then it takes away from me trying to broaden my business and for people to see my business and to understand what the business is about, right? So I think time management is also key.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I would also say knowing when to step back sometimes too, because I became such a feeling like I had to be a content creator. That was the only way I was gonna be popular or known or get my business out there was by showing people that I can cook. But that's not something I wanted to do. It was just something that I was like, this is not for me. I would just be in the back. So knowing when to step back because I was going crazy with trying to figure
It's
out.
very stressful.
Yes, like, oh my gosh, this picture has to look at this. Does this look good? Do I need to brighten it more? Should I write this long post and explain my steps of going through it? And now I'm just like, you know what? Y'all gonna get what y'all get. If you rock with me, you rock it with me. If you ate my food, you're gonna come back. So I had to. You have to know when to also step
But
back.
you've reached that point, right? But when you're starting out, when you're starting out,
it's hard.
It's so
yes,
difficult,
it's very hard.
right?
It's very
Getting that algorithm going.
I still don't have it though.
I still don't have it
Most
either.
of us
I don't have it either.
don't
I
have
might
it.
have like
I have
4
to, like,
posts on my social media.
I have to look up.
I got
When
way
is
more
the
than
best
4 and my
time?
algorithm still is not figured out.
I have to always look up when's the best time to post for certain foods. When's the time on a Sunday after a certain time, nobody's looking. So now, even though I've made this great dish and I want to show you guys this great dish and I want you guys to see it and come see it, y'all not gonna see it because by
Today
this
might not be the day.
yes. So it's I understand. I go through it too. I definitely go.
Like I said, we all have different types of business and we all experience the same issues. And I'm so elated that we're having this dialogue. So I came up with the questions, but I also had resolution because I feel like you shouldn't if I don't want to talk about a problem without having a resolution. And that's just me, my annoying self. So one of the number one things, and I did some research on upscaling a business is networking and mentorship. And I think we all spoke about that. This right here is a form of networking. And the chamber plans to do a lot more of networking. We're always going to have one roundtable a month, but we want to go out into the community and do some networking events. So that's number one. And they say networking and mentorship builds strong networks within the industry and seeking mentorship. You spoke about the mentorship from successful entrepreneurs can be valuable guidance and opportunities for growth. So for our people that are out there, networking and mentorship is very, very, very important. We spoke about access to capital. That's number two. Securing funding through grants, loans, investment opportunities tailored to support minority and women-owned businesses. our goal is to start to post a lot of the things that we find. We
Mhm.
are finding a lot of grants. So as we get them, we are going to disseminate them out to everyone so that you can see the different grants that are going out. This one I found to be, should have been number one, in my opinion. Strategic partnerships, collaborating with businesses, maybe larger or the same size, that can help you access new markets, resources, and expertise and support growth.
Mhm.
So, strategic partnering, I do that a lot because I'm in the business of insurance.
Mhm.
So I partner with CPAs, I partner with real estate agents, I partner with mortgage brokers, I partner with attorneys. So I think it's important for you to know your niche, know your business, and know who you can partner with and strategize with in order to grow your business. And I can't tell you each of your businesses because I'm not that not that good. However, but I think it's important to look at that. Digital presence, we talked about that. Leveraging platforms, e-commerce channels, can broaden your reach. And the world that we're in now is social media driven. Everything's on social media, whether you like it or not, whether it's true or not, everything is on social media. So unfortunately, we have to embrace it at some point in time in order to get out there. And in some businesses, like my business, it's hard for me to see a return on my investment when I engage in social media because somebody's not going to see my post or see my knowledge and be like, oh my God, I just got to buy insurance with her. It's not realistic. Um, People usually come to me when either their company dropped them and or they had a claim and they're not satisfied with their current broker. It has to be a reason that they start to look, or you meet me at some place and you're like, oh, I remember that girl, let me see if I could. So for me, social media is staying in your face. That's why I have to do it. It's a matter of just staying in your face, letting you know I'm still here. So digital presence is important and continuous learning. I am not a salesperson by far, but I find that I get customers based on my knowledge because I've been doing insurance. I'm gonna say how long because I won't. A long time. I've been doing insurance for a very long time, and because of the knowledge that I have been able to learn, everything that I've learned over these years, I know I've experienced almost everything in the insurance that you can. So I'm knowledgeable. So people will call me, hey, I want to pick your brain and this and that. So people come to me for that knowledge, not because I'm a great salesperson, because I don't pressure. I'm not that pressure. I'm not calling you back. I'm not doing that. And I'm sorry. Either you see the value or you don't. That could be good and bad. Number 6 is operational efficiency. We spoke about that as well. Streamlining processes, adapting technology solutions, optimizing resources, utilizing and can improve productivity. So that's important. Having procedures in place could definitely upskill your business. And community engagement, getting involved in your community, getting people involved in your business, whether you're doing community service, whether you're just getting involved and getting out there. All of these things were like the top things to scale a business. So I think it's important that we understand what is needed and that we create this community to help each other, to support one another, to engage. It costs you nothing to forward or repost somebody else's page or their what is it, reel. I'm not good with the words, the technology aspect, reels and posts and stories. It costs you nothing. So we're asking everyone to make sure that you support. And support doesn't mean monetary. It is just reposting, letting somebody know, this is my facial. She does my face. She cooks my food. I buy clothes from her. Supporting one another is our biggest value, I think, in this conversation. So I want to open up the floor. Do we have any questions?
we do have some people that wanted to ask questions, but before we hopped into that, wanted to highlight two businesses that shared their information in the chat.
Awesome.
We have, well, actually, okay, so we have Mary Tucker from H&M Global Services in Atlanta, Georgia, the Facility Group in Houston, Texas, MCM Global Services in Houston, Texas, and Sensational Finds Online. And then we also have the
Sensational, is that her website?
uh,
So let's just say her website one more time, www.sensational.
I don't know what the URL, but it says Sensational Finds, period, and then it says online.
Okay.
So,
Mary, if you can actually send us your website so that we can make sure that everybody has that. Thank you.
thanks. And then we also have Dorette Brown on here from Wellshore Group LLC in Stamford, Connecticut. She does not have a website at this time, but I have her contact information here as well. You can
Awesome.
email her at Dorette Brown, DORRETTE Brown, like the color, at yahoo.com.
Welcome, ladies, and thank you for sharing your business information.
And we have some feedback as well. Some people are saying, thank you for hosting this event, very encouraged by the event. Good job, ladies. And then Tanisha just shared, I just want to let you ladies know you're amazing. Looking forward to the next meeting.
Oh, thank you.
Tanisha, you're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for chiming in and being here with us
Sometimes you just
tonight.
need that.
So in the chat, if you guys would like to share any questions, as I said earlier, you can just drop them or you can unmute. I see Dorette is unmuting. So let me just pin her. All right, you can go ahead and share your.
Hello, Dorette.
Hi, Tamika. Well done. The session was very inspiring, and everyone, as a former owner for brick and mortar store, I share the same agony and pain and pitfalls that you guys went through. So it is real. One of the things that was back in 2005 to 2013 was a very difficult ride. So it's just nice to see that, there's a network that we can go to. When I did it back then, there was no one. It was very isolated and lonely and very difficult, and a lot of roadblocks along the way. So kudos to you in putting this on. I wish you were around back then. You probably were, but I didn't know you then. So thank you for stepping up and doing this. And I do have a question for all you ladies, especially after doing the business for 7 years and had to exit. At the end of the day, all roads lead to exit and at one point in time. And if you had to think 5 to 7 years from now, where do you see your business and what is your exit strategy? Because at some point, I mean, you all are fairly young. But it's something that when I was a owner of a brick and mortar, I wasn't even looking at exit strategies, right? And I think that's something we need to factor in because one, either someone can buy you, so it's to position yourself in a position that you can be purchased into from a bigger company one day, so your hard work will pay off and you can retire. Or, maybe a staff member that you have trained and worked with would be interested in joining your firm or just expanding or retiring and making it part of your retirement plan. So I would love to hear you guys' feedback about that.
So what is her name?
Dorette.
Dorette. That's a great question.
That's an amazing question. So for me, yes, I do. For me, it's legacy. So I'm going to pass my business down to children and grandchildren.
Love it.
So that's my contingency plan. Eden, what are your thoughts on?
So,
So before you do that, Eden, I just want to make a point. So given that yours is legacy, then it's so essential to grow, continue to expand. So that way you'll have a little bit more flexibility in creating that long-term legacy.
Definitely. That's why I'm in the process of changing the direction of my business to grow.
Perfect. Awesome.
I think that what I've learned is what worked 10 years ago, a lot of times doesn't work now. So from generation to generation, things change. So in my mind, I would like to transition out and in the service part of my company, just have other estheticians and a manager, maybe have a CEO of the company overall. But I also understand that what makes sense now or what may seem smart now may change in 20 years, right? So I think I'm always just going to be open to making the best move for the long-term wealth and stability of my family. And so when I get there,
You might scale it up and then sell it, down the road.
so I've been seeing so much backlash when it comes to your Carol's daughters
What
and
happened
your
with her?
Mayels and your main
I else,
choices,
she sold for a lot of money.
right? And your honey pot coals, right? The one thing that I understand, the one thing that I know that I think people don't know is we don't know what it's like to be at that level of business, right?
Mhm.
I think when you've taken in so much funding in order to scale, at some point you have to pay these people back. I don't know what that's like, right?
Mhm.
We would love to keep these businesses to be Black owned. I don't really know why everybody sells, right? I'm not in these rooms for these
Right.
conversations. And
Yeah.
yet. And it seems to me, and I may be misspeaking, but I'm gonna say it anyway. From what I see, it seems like the Shea Moisture team has been the only one that took the money and then turned around, bought Essence, created these funds for, Black women businesses. They've done a lot with it, right? So, their take whereas they were saying like, okay, well, we sold, but we sold for a greater good, and now we're going to be able to do all these other amazing things, which they did. Now Essence became Black owned again, so right, what everybody else does is not our business, right? But I wouldn't want to necessarily sell. If I could definitely keep it as something within my family, within, or Black owned, like, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want to. I would love to hear the reasoning behind like what gets you to that point where are you forced to sell your company to pay back your investors so that I could go in a different way.
So we need to get into different rooms.
You
That's what you're saying.
understand?
Okay.
Let me add something to that though. So it's a kind of an unfair burden
Mhm.
for Black-owned businesses.
It is.
Because every other business, that's
Can
their
do
goal is I want to build it up.
Yep.
Like people do this
All the
5
time.
times in their lifetime. Start a business, scale it up, sell it. Start something else, scale it up, sell it. But when it's a Black-owned business and they do it, it's looked at, well, you're betraying the community, because somebody else is buying. So I feel like it's an unfair burden that we can't just look at it as purely, I'm a business owner, I'm building something great, I'm gonna scale it up and sell it, and then move on to something else that I will also be a Black-owned business owner in. So it's kind of a weird little unfair expectation, I think.
And I think it's like that because at the same time, a lot of times when we're creating these businesses, it is to fill a void for our people.
100%.
Whereas other companies just are able to say, oh, I want to create this, they're not saying, Black women are sold toxic products at a high rate. They're not starting their business because 70% of the skincare products and hair care products they're starting the company because we're in danger. So when it's sold, it's like,
What'd you do to us?
because now who's holding the wall for us? So it's different, so I understand the anger because other people just get to say, hey, I'm gonna launch this and I'm gonna make baby powder toxic and I'm gonna sell it now to Black women and they don't have to care.
Right.
Whereas we have to
have a conscience.
We have to have a conscience of why we're making it, who we're thinking. We have to. So it's a little different. I get it.
But that's a lot of pressure to carry around as a business owner.
I'm sorry.
So the only comment that I would like to make regarding that, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
The only comment I'd like to make regarding that is to have a plan, right? So even if that buyer comes and they present a really good bid to you, you can still be involved. But to keep, one of the things that I didn't do, I didn't have an exit strategy, right?
Mhm.
And so at the end, I exited and there was a huge loss. So I think for a lot of business owners and Black business owners, we don't consider it. And at the end of the day, all roads does lead to an exit plan, whether you're retiring, you're selling it to a family member, or you're selling it to an outsider. I think it should be a part of your business plan every 5 to 7 years. Said if something happens, if there's an opportunity in the next 5 to 7 years, what would I like it to look like? Versus someone knocking at your door and now you're enticed and you're confused which direction you should go.
No, I
Yeah, I really
understand that.
do, I do agree with that wholeheartedly. I think it's important to have a business plan. I'm still working on mine. But I do think it's really, really important. And I think every successful business has to have an exit strategy, right? Because if you don't have an exit strategy, what does that mean? That means you're hustling for the rest of your life
Right.
in that business, right? And that's not
crazy 'cause
that's really
what I plan on doing for the rest of my
but
that's
you
not,
have to, but you
yeah.
have to
I
think
didn't, I
that there's
wasn't,
a
Yeah.
time that comes where you have to kind of say, okay, I'm laying everything out, whether you're bringing in investors, whether somebody buys you out, whatever is right for you, but you do have to have an exit strategy. Like Eden said, we don't know what the next 10, 20 years is going to look like, especially with this technology moving at a fast rate, right? For me, for my business, my clothing line, I mean, I would love to have at some point investors in the business. I would, I don't plan on giving it up 100%. I don't want to, I don't want to sell it. But I want to position myself in a way whereas I can step back, I can have people in place that will be able to run it, and I have investors. And at the same time, I want to use my time to give back. That's what I plan on doing. Is that going to happen realistically? Maybe, I hope so. But I don't know because we don't know what that time is going to look like, right? And what is happening at that time. But it is important to write it down.
Yeah, I understand that.
To piggyback off of the whole thought of the hustle and what you just said, but the thing is, most people are starting in kind of like a survival mindset. So it's like no one's really like, I would be honest about myself starting my business. I didn't really start it with any plans in mind. I was like, I'm just gonna start a business and see what happens. And it was one of the worst and the best decisions I made because you have to throw yourself in there, as they're saying you have to then recalibrate. But then it raises this point of like, how are we actually governing as an entire country? Like speaking on the US terms, like how are we governing these companies so that they're not doing messed up things like putting like toxic stuff in these things. So there's things coming up like the ESG, the environment, social governance. Like I may have just butchered that, but look it up, ESG. It's like a whole governance like thing that they're looking in for corporate social responsibility. And like looking at how do we tax in a way in which if you're creating harm like the oil companies, how are you, dealing with the cleanup? How are you dealing with the pollution? Okay, the consumers are buying it, but how are you looking into making a better future? Because your responsibility as a company is to better. And a lot of times too, one of the main things that I learned after all of this is just literally your business is not yours. It belongs to the government, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like it's not actually your property. So that's why all these systems and all these things, it's like if you think of a school club growing up, you have bylaws, you had certain like governing principles. And I think if people were going into business thinking like it's a school club, what is the purpose of this? What are the activities we're going to do? What is in the alignment? Like if you think about a regular constitution you write for your student club, I've started several of them. So I've like written like 10 constitutions. So it's like when you really think about it, it's like it's the same thing. It's like people are going into business to make money, but it's like if you don't know how to make money or research it or put all that together, then how do you even do it? Because like you'll hit a plateau as we were talking about. So that's where that business plan, and there's as Jillian shared in her webinar, it's like you have the lean business plan, you have the brolic, I just gave it that name, you have the brolic business plan. Like it's up to you to choose what's gonna work for you, and like you can evolve it is the best part. It's like you don't write the business plan and never look at it again. It's like it's your living, breathing document. So
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people that just start businesses just because, right? And their whole intent is, oh, I want to make money, so I'm going to, I don't know, make water, right? But at some point, as it becomes successful, you do have to start thinking about just important things about your business and strategizing to position your business. And you'll know when that time comes. It's not going to come from day one. It's not going to come from the first year or the second year.
Right.
I mean, it's great if you're making, great income after the first, second year. But there will come a time where you're going to have to just kind of buckle down and say, you know what, where am I taking this business?
Where am I going?
Yeah, I think one of the basics, tying it all back in, to having an exit strategy could be simply having insurance, especially because a lot of people have business partners. So I remember speaking to a family friend. He actually owns the gas station right here.
Mhm.
And he was saying like he has a bunch of different insurance policies. So if he passes away and there's debt in the business, the insurance policy will pay off the
Key man.
debt.
Right.
Or
They have a key man policy. Yes, there are life insurance policies that will keep the business afloat in the event that a key person or business partner basically expires. Is that
Yeah.
so? Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or he was saying like, or maybe it's one and the same, like if you had a business partner and, a way to kind of like
Buy them out.
buy out, buy the
Buy 'em
person out
Mhm.
of the
It's a
company.
buy-sell agreement that you would have to buy the other partner out. So instead of his spouse coming in to be the replacement partner.
Mhm.
Jillian, do you do that?
Absolutely.
So hit up Jill, it's my main girl.
All day.
So thank you for Dorette, for actually adding to our conversation. That was amazing. Are there any other questions or anybody else that would like to add to the conversation?
I have answers from earlier. So for the shout outs,
Okay.
www.sensational, sensationalfinds.com for Mary Tucker. She also has a website for freight broker, mcmglobalservices.com. And then also Facility Group, where she is, I just assumed her gender, I'm so sorry. Where she says, my company, Facility Group, I'm working on obtaining government contracts. And you can sign up to get sensational fines. You can sign up for the wait list so that when it's new and under construction, so when it's launched, you can get on there.
Mhm.
And then lastly, there's Tanisha Markland. She shared that she has a website called influence.works.
And Tanisha, she does travel.
Yeah,
Yes, that's Tanisha.
Yes.
Yes. But it's funny how we're all connected because I met Tanisha through you. I met Eden through, and it's funny, I don't know how because I know your whole family.
Right.
That was like really funny. However, Rabab and I met through a
Through
mutual
somebody,
friend,
right.
right, years ago. So these are I've known Sharice forever.
Now, which Tanisha is this?
Markle. You know
Mar-
Tanisha. Yeah.
I know Tanisha.
Yes.
Hey, girl.
Hi, ladies. Yes, I go to Eden for my facials. I haven't been in a few months. I got to come back. But yes, I know everybody.
Tanisha be busy though. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. But do you see how the connections are? We all
I
are
love that.
entwined in somehow, some way.
You're describing one of my favorite things that I learned in the last 10 years is this concept of social capital, which is something that's deathly missing in our community. And that's why this chamber is so important, because that's how other communities do it. We have Uncle Bob down the street is a lawyer, and Auntie Jane has her accounting firm. So when my kid becomes a teenager, they have places to go and get their
Intern and
internships.
everything.
When they graduate college, their first job offers are from these people in their parents' community. And the business owners learn from each other. That's what we're trying to
We're building this community.
build right
Shout out to our intern, Casey. He's here.
Hey, Casey.
So yes, we're giving back. Casey is our intern, and Casey is learning business, right, Casey?
It's probably a social media whiz.
We're getting there.
I was about to snatch it.
Listen, well, we have a couple actually interns, but Casey is our in-house one. So kudos
for
to
you.
Casey. I would like to, do we have any more comments? I want to be respectful of time. I don't even know what time it is. Oh, yeah, we're 7:51. Okay, so we're respectful of time. We're good.
I haven't heard anything else.
Okay,
Pretty
so
quiet here.
if there are no other questions, no other comments, I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. We ran a little late, sorry about that. But I want to thank you wholeheartedly for being a part of this conversation. And I hope that we continue and that you continue to show up and show out and keep the dialogue going. And what is that? Oh, the battery's low. And also, we're gonna make sure that we post everybody here. This video will be on all of our social media channels. It's recording right now on YouTube. So we will make sure that we post everybody's information. I'm asking, please make sure that you like, forward, share. All
Comment.
comment, right? Because that's
Comment
because that's the algorithm, right? You
Yeah,
gotta, the interaction.
Interactions.
Okay,
help.
so
Community online.
so please be sure to do that to all our participants. And again, let's keep the dialogue going. Let's keep supporting one another as Black women. Let's show them that there's so many different dynamics to us outside of the ratchet nonsense. We are so much more and so much better than all of that. And with that said, I thank you. Good night. We're gonna eat and continue to socialize. But I thank each and every one of you on the Zoom, FaceTime, Facebook, YouTube, and all of that stuff. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
So you just said absolutely amazing session.
That
Thank
was
you.